Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Flame Emperor episode number 234 based on novel. So let's start. This dragon blood crystal was taken in private room number 3. After the auction is over, the item will be delivered to you intact. As for the task of the companion, I will send someone to inform you in a few days. Death Feng said to Xiao Yan politely. It doesn't matter, it just so happens that I'm going to stay in Ghost King City for some time, and this trip to Dongju is also on the way, so it's great to wait. Xiao Yang said with a smile. That's good. After comforting Xiao Yang, Death Feng suddenly spoke up. After all, the alchemist was a hornet's nest that couldn't be provoked. Everyone, since this dragon blood crystal has been photographed by Your Excellency Alchemist in private room number 3, then we won't be rambling. Xie knows that everyone is here today for the things that are in the bottom of the box, so the auction is the highlight of this auction. Xiefeng directly sent someone to collect the ground dragon blood crystal, and then stood up on the auction table. He stood side by side with Li Qin and smiled. The main event is finally here. The mysterious black-robed man in the private room number 1 heard the words, and his anger at the lack of the ground dragon blood crystal instantly dissipated. Obviously, the dragon blood crystal is nothing compared to the stuff at the bottom of the box. What the is this finale scene? Seeing Xiao Yang filming the ground dragon blood crystal, Qing'e was quite surprised. Although she guessed that Xiao Yang was most likely an alchemist, this guy was actually a genuine third-rank emperor. An alchemist at the third rank of emperor rank, I am afraid that his identity is enough to be on an equal footing with the heads of their families, not to mention that this guy is also a strong fighting immortal. Is it finally going to start? As the voice of the dead wind fell, the anger in the auction venue suddenly rose to the extreme. Many people here are targeting this last auction item. Come here, bring that thing up to me. The next moment, a secret passage emerged directly from the auction table, and then a soldier came out. The soldier was quite ordinary, but his strength was extremely tyrannical. It's just that the soldier just appeared, which made the people present sigh for a while. Obviously, this soldier is no stranger to them. I didn't expect this thing to be taken care of by he, a late-stage 2-star Dozian. It seems that the dead wind is also careful and vigilant. When many strong people saw the 2 men and 1 woman on the auction stage at this time, they couldn't help but muttered. The 2 men are the city lord Shufeng and the soldier by he. It can be said without hesitation that these 2 are the strongest among the strengths of the city lord's mansion. With the cooperation, even if it is half-step 3-star Dozian early stage, it can only temporarily withdraw. Susu, it's so cold. What is that? After Baiha's figure appeared, his hands were carefully carrying something. The outermost layer of the thing was entangled by an extremely terrifying black chi. The black chi cut off all the power of the soul probe. But even so, it made everyone feel a penetrating cold. With the appearance of this black box-like thing, the temperature in the entire auction floor dropped a lot unconsciously, and even a trace of it could be seen. Silk ice silk filled the air. Hey, everyone, this is the highlight of the day. After the city lord nodded, he slowly walked to the auction table and placed the thing wrapped in black energy on the raised auction table. What exactly is this? Xiao Yang couldn't help but say, but at the same time, in the sea of vindictive energy in Xiao Yang's body, a mysterious piece of paper glowing with dark red light suddenly burst out with a rather greedy gaze, as if wanting to swallow the mysterious items on the auction table. Calm me down. Seeing this, Xiao Yang hummed suddenly, and immediately mobilized the huge soul power in his body, finally suppressing the riot of the mysterious piece of paper. In the mysterious piece of paper, there is an immortal sparrow that is sealed. However, Xiao Yang was also a little puzzled. Although the undead might sparrow was related to undying fire, it was clearly sealed. The sealed undying might sparrow was the same as falling into a deep sleep, but how could there be such a violent fluctuation? Xiao Yang couldn't understand. Bai he, Kai Feng. The next moment, Dead Wind glanced at the auction venue, which had become restless because of the appearance of the main event, and said directly, but his eyes were always staring at some strong players in the venue. Okay. Everyone be quiet. When I unlock the seal, you will know the true face of this important event. Bai he nodded heavily, and then without hesitation, the dazzling power of fighting immortals burst out, and the handprints turned rapidly, carrying a circle around them. The power of mysterious fluctuations, facing the black box. Boom boom boom. The black box seemed to be threatened by his such a blow, and bursts of dazzling black energy continued to overflow, attacking Bai he. Untie it for me. Bai he endured the erosion of the black qi, while constantly waving his handprints, trying to eliminate the black qi above the black box, thus showing his true colors. Bang bang bang. The next moment, Bai he suddenly drank, and immediately shook all the black energy above the black box, thus revealing its true colors. This is a flame. Some figures couldn't help but say when they saw the black air on the black box dissipate. It's not like a flame, don't you have it? With the black box showing its true colors, the temperature in the entire auction platform has risen a lot in an instant. What is that? Both ice and fire? Intermittent noises of silhouettes rang out. How can it be? This is the fluctuation of holy flame. What the master said is actually true. It seems that this time it really didn't come in vain. Susu. The mysterious man in private room number 1 was staring at the items standing on the auction table, and a surprise appeared in his heart. What appeared in front of everyone was a square cage about 10 feet in size, and in the cage, countless ice threads emerged, but it was strange that in the center of the ice and snow cage, there was a strip-shaped item like a leaf. On top of that strip-shaped item, a dark red flame is like a flame elf, beating slowly. And with the beating of the flame blades, the hundreds of powerhouses present held their breath and couldn't help exclaiming. Every beat of the flames emits a trace of terrifying ripples that can destroy everything, but the ice threads on the ice cage slowly dissolve, which is quite strange. This is holy flame. The smell of immortal fire. The next moment, when Xiao Yang's pupils saw the dark red fire leaves in the ice cage, a shock and surprise flooded into his heart. Hey, everyone, don't worry, this is an auction, and I hope you all abide by our rules. Seeing this thing just show its true colors, it caused such a strong commotion. Bai he and Dead Wind suddenly stepped on. Tyrannical, the incomparable breath instantly protected the entire auction table inside and out. The purpose of the two of them doing this is to shock the younger generation. Hey, the Dead City Lord is joking, we are only seeing something for the first time, although the two powers of the fire attribute and ice attribute are quite tyrannical, but what it is, I don't know exactly what it is, so please ask the City Lord to explain one or two. To open our eyes to those of us who are immortal. After feeling the strength of the late Baihe 2-star Dozian and the Dead Wind 2-star Dozian, some ill-conceived powerhouses also held back their fiery hearts. Since other people dare to put this thing out for auction, they will naturally have some foolproof strategies, so they don't dare to think carefully. After all, with their strength, no one has enough confidence in the late stage of the 2-star fighting fairy and the 2-star fighting fairy. Left safely in the hands of the person. Everyone, please take a look. This is the finale of this auction, Immortal Leaf. Death Feng and Bai he stood next to the ice cage and laughed. It sure is this thing. This guy is really a big hand. Hearing Su Feng's words, the mysterious black-robed man in private room number 1 couldn't help laughing. He is not an alchemist himself, and the alchemist medal in his hand was just snatched from others, but by virtue of his tyrannical strength, he barely deceived the strong people present, and obviously, this undead leaf, it is him. The goal of. After a while, the entire auction was filled with shock. What is an immortal leaf? We only know that there is a terrifying holy flame called undead fire in the holy flame list. Is there some connection between the two? Although they have already smelled the horror of the fire leaves in the ice cage, but the presence of some strong people couldn't help but wonder. Immortal leaf. The undead leaf should have a very close relationship with the undead fire, otherwise the undead dwarf bird would not have rioted like this. At this moment, Xiao Yang finally understood why the undead dwarf bird, which had been sealed by himself and fell into a deep sleep, would riot everything. The root of it is the fire leaf in front of you. Xiao Yang was not in a hurry to look for the immortal fire. After all, he was not ready to devour the medicinal materials of the immortal fire, and when he absorbed the fighting spirit, he would be able to know the trace of the immortal fire. This thing is very likely to have a great relationship with the undead fire. Little guy, you must get this thing at all cost. The ruthless and hungry voice of the Soul Eater also sounded. Yes. Xiao Yang nodded slightly. The undead Minkyu did know some news about the undying fire, but now that the appearance of the undying leaf, in order to make plans for the undying fire in the future, what Xiao Yang said must be obtained. This thing is called Immortal Leaf. If you are not familiar with it, I believe that you will be familiar with another name. The three people in the dazzling enchantment smiled slowly. What's your name? The strong man present couldn't help but ask. Immortal Fire. The next moment, 3 words were softly spit out from the mouth of the Dead Wind. And as the wind of death just fell, the entire auction venue was silent. What is Immortal Fire? Undying Fire is a famous holy flame on the Holy Flame list. It ranks in the top 20 of the Holy Flame list, and even ranks among the 17th terrifying holy flame. Its power is more powerful than the fire heart Tianyang or even the Ghostface ghost flame on Xiao Yang. This thing, our Yu family wants it. We, the Lei family, also want to give it a try. Since the two families are so hot, our Qing family is naturally not far behind. Our Hammer mercenary group also wants to join in. This is an auction. The one with the highest price wins, so let's come to. The next moment, some of the real power minds in the field all spoke up. Obviously, the attractiveness of the things at the bottom of the box is as deadly as venom. At their level, almost all of them are already 2-star fighting immortals, and their talent and age are quite large. If they don't have enough opportunities, breaking through a small level is probably more difficult than reaching the sky. And the wonders of heaven and earth, the magic elixir, is the only choice for these powerhouses. As for the holy flame, if they can get one, even if it is the holy flame at the bottom of the ranking, it will be enough for them to overcome the difficulties in front of them. Everyone, we wouldn't put this thing up for auction, but we used all the means and couldn't break the shackles of the ice cage, so I have to remind that the fire leaves inside are indeed immortal fire leaves, but whether you can break the ice cage and get the fire leaves depends on your luck. As for whether this undead leaf is related to the undead fire, we don't know. Dead Wind laughed. Originally, Dead Wind got this thing by accident and wanted to crack it by himself, but for the past 10 years, Dead Wind tried his best to break the ice cage, so he had no choice but to put it up for auction. Death Feng knew that this thing could not be broken by himself, and it was undoubtedly a scourge to keep it in his own hands. Is this ice cage so strong? The strong people present were all stunned when they heard the words. Humph. Dead City Lord, don't talk nonsense, let's make a price. But the mysterious black-robed man in private room number 1 snorted and said directly. It's just that he said slowly in his heart, it's just a bunch of trash. How can the 17th ranked holy flame be cracked by brute force? When I get this thing, break the ice cage and get the undead leaves, I can trace the undead fire. At that time, the master can't help me. A sneer fills the heart of the mysterious black-robed man. Strange. Why is the aura of the silhouette in this private room somewhat similar to the people of the soul race? Is it my illusion? But Xiao Yang shook his head slightly. Obviously, he had dealt with the Soul Clan for a long time and was quite sensitive to the spirit of the Soul Clan. Hehe, everyone, because this thing is too expensive, if you are a strong person who is interested in bidding, you only need to take the chips in your hand and enter the secret passage from the private room. When I see it, the old man will naturally choose a more satisfactory one. Chips to trade. And don't worry, everyone, this secret passage is extremely hidden, and it will protect your privacy. Dead Wind said with a smile. It's really a cunning old fox. Sammy heard the words and smiled slowly. By doing this, he can not only get what he is satisfied with, but also avoid leaking the news of who this undead leaf was taken away by. It seems that this guy is very precious to the undead leaf. Xiao Yang smiled slowly. Everyone, please. After Dead Wind finished speaking, a secret passageway appeared in the center of the auction table, and immediately walked down first. Brother Xiao Yang, please. Qingming said politely to Xiao Yang, and then the two of them, one after the other, went out to a secret passage in the private room. This secret passage was clearly connected to the auction booth. However, it is extremely concealed and can better protect the privacy of the auctioneer. I'm currently preparing for English and advanced math exams. The high numbers are really outrageous. Just after Xiao Yang and Qingming entered the secret passage, they separated from each other. After all, this secret passage extends in all directions. When entering a secret passage this time, there will be special auction personnel to communicate with each other, so there is no need to worry too much about others. It seems that the power of this Ghost King city, even I didn't expect the importance of the undead leaves. Compared with these guys, the chips in my hand seem to be a little too low. Xiao Yang smiled helplessly. After all, I just came to the ghost world, and I was not well prepared, and I didn't know in advance that the highlight of this auction was the undead leaves, otherwise it wouldn't be so shabby. The current Xiao Yang only has a prototype of a 4th-grade immortal rank medicinal pill in his hand. This kind of bargaining chip is obviously not qualified in the auction just now. Damn, it seems that I can't bear the child and can't get the wolf. Xiao Yang smiled bitterly, and then started to walk, but a small trace of origin was clearly separated from the ghost-faced soul Yangjing in the sea of fighting qi in his body. Zhili, I don't know what Xiao Yang wants to do. After walking for about 10 steps, there was a wooden door in front of the secret passage. Xiao Yang gently pushed it open and suddenly a rather delicate small private room came into view. Haha, the respected third-rank pharmacist of the imperial rank, I have been admiring it for a long time. Just as Xiao Yang entered it, a rude voice suddenly entered his ears. Bai he. Xiao Yang couldn't help but be surprised when he saw this. Because the one who appeared in the private room and waited for Xiao Yang was none other than the second strongest man in the entire City Lord's mansion, Bai he, who was the late two-star fighting immortal. I didn't expect to let Lord Bai he come in person. Seeing this, Xiao Yang smiled slightly. Obviously the pressure this guy put on him was not small. Your Excellency is a third-grade Emperor-level pharmacist. In my Ghost King city, you should be treated like this. Bai he smiled, but he was a little surprised. He should have sensed the breath just now, the strength of this kid in front of him. It seems that there is only one star fighting immortal in the early stage. Master Bai is very polite, let's get down to business. Xiao Yang laughed and said, I don't know what Master Alchemist is going to use as a bargaining chip to bid on the undead leaves this time. Bai he heard this and looked forward to Xiao Yang. Bai he could see that Xiao Yang was quite young. At such a young age, he had reached the early stage of a one-star Doze Yan, and even his alchemist skills had reached the third-rank Emperor rank. All these things showed that behind this guy, it is very likely that there is a tyrannical force, otherwise, it is impossible to achieve what it is today with just one person. This is what I bid for this time. The next moment, Xiao Yang did not hesitate and said directly, Ads by Pub Future. What was reflected in Baiha's pupils was a rather rounded pill the size of a dragon's eye, exuding extremely tyrannical fluctuations. This is. What a strong fluctuation. This fluctuation alone is likely to be comparable to the elixir of the 4th grade immortal rank and the peak of the sky. But it is a pity that this is only a prototype elixir. Bai he immediately gave his evaluation. After all, Xiao Yang but the city lord had asked the guy who had special care. I believe that Lord Baihe also knows that although a prototype medicine pill is not as good as those real medicine pills, its value is probably on the same level. Xiao Yang looked at by his pupils showing a trace of heat. Open mouth. Hey, Master Alchemist, this thing is good or not, but as an alchemist, I believe you are more aware of the value of undead leaves. The immortal leaf is related to the holy flame of the undying fire. If Master Alchemist can get it, maybe he can find the holy flame of undying fire. At that time, Master Refining Medicine must be even more powerful, so the value of this undying leaf is naturally very high. It's just the prototype pill of this immortal rank 4th grade heaven rank peak. Bai he said in a word. It's really a cunning old fox. Xiao Yang cursed bitterly in his heart. The rudimentary medicinal pills are quite rare. When refining medicinal pills, you only need to add medicinal materials to volatilize the medicinal effect, which saves many tedious steps. Xiao Yang said, Lord Alchemist, to tell you the truth, someone has already come up with a bigger bargaining chip. If you don't take out some things that are at the bottom of the box, I'm afraid this is an immortal leaf. Bai he said in a low voice when he saw this. Is it the guy from the private room number 1? Xiao Yang said slowly without being surprised at all. Your Excellency really expects things like God. Bai he was not surprised when he heard it. After all, he was a simple pharmacist who could reach the 3rd rank of Emperor rank at such an age. If that's the case, I still have one more thing. However, the next moment, within Xiao Yang's body, a strange flame with a hint of cyan slowly emerged from his body. This is. And with the appearance of this cyan flame, the entire small room was suddenly filled with a more powerful force. Ghostly. In the ghost world, most of the powerhouses are unidentified, they may be souls, or they may be 3 souls and 7 souls, and only real human beings can devour the holy flame. Otherwise, if an ordinary soul or a body with 3 souls and 7 souls devours the holy flame, it will be instantly wiped out by the holy flame. There is only one exception. In the ghost world, there are 2 flames of the ghost world. These 2 flames of the ghost world have been contaminated with countless ghosts. They are the great supplements dreamed by the ghost world. One of them is ghost face and soul inflammation. What kind of flame is this? The next moment, Bai his pupils shrank tightly, his eyes locked on the blue flame in Xiao Yang's hand. UU reading www.ukangshu.com. What is this? I believe that Lord Baihe knows better than me. Xiao Yang said, playing with the blue flame at will, and said with a smile. This azure flame is the holy flame separated by Xiao Yang from the ghost-faced soul flame holy flame crystal. The ghost face and soul flame has been swallowed up by Xiao Yang. Even if Xiao Yang separates a trace of the source of holy flame to form the holy flame, it will not have much impact on Xiao Yang. This is Xiao Yang's last trump card. Such a strange and sinister power, it really is ghost face and soul flame, but this flame energy seems a little weak. Bai He whispered. Hey, holy flame is a wonder of heaven and earth, even I have never seen it, but when I was traveling, I accidentally got a trace of ghost face ghost flame. Although the power of this fire is not comparable to the real ghost face and soul flame, but because this is the ghost world, its power, I am afraid I don't need to say more. Xiao Yang did not introduce too much. After all, he knew that ghost face ghost flame was in the ghost world. It is like an attractive lethal poison. Hehe, Master Alchemist is really a big hand. Lao, please go back and rest. I believe that after a while, the ownership of this undead leaf will be settled. Bai He said slowly. I hope you don't let me down. Xiao Yang put away the trace of ghost face and soul flame, and then returned the same way. This guy's background is a bit terrifying. The next moment, following Xiao Yang's departure, in the small private room, the figures of the City Lord Su Feng and Li Qin, as well as several old men, slowly appeared. City Lord, Butler Li, are you over there? Bai He said with a slow smile upon seeing this. Well, it's over. The things that the three Lei Qingyu families have come up with are quite good. It seems that they are bound to win this auction. Li Qin smiled. Obviously, the three Lei Qingyu families are naturally responsible for her. Responsive. It's just that in this private room, in addition to Bai He, the City Lord Feng Feng and Li Qin, there are also several older people who are obviously very rare in the City Lord's mansion. The final vesting of the auction. I don't know what treasures the three families took out. One of the old man with white hair asked. What the Lei family brought out is the treasure of their clan, the technique of Thunder Body. Li Qin said calmly. The lightning technique of the intermediate level of the Holy Order? Bai He couldn't help but be surprised when he heard the words. He knew the tyranny of this lightning body technique. This lightning body technique was a volume of middle-level Hola-level exercises, but it was still a volume of genuine bodyforging techniques. In the process of training, in addition to the Do Chi Pulse, there are also the art of body forging and many branches. The art of body forging is, to put it bluntly, strengthening the body, but the art of bodybuilding is quite rare. Obviously, the art of bodybuilding can achieve the limit is limited, so almost no one chooses to forge the body, but chooses to cultivate Do Chi, but only Bai He knows that although he and Lei family patriarch Lei Li both belong to the late two-star Dozian strength, but in the real life and death battle, he is still invincible The reason for this is that it is due to the merits of the lightning body technique. From this, it can be seen that in some cases, this technique and body forging technique are better than fighting Qi. The technique of Thunder Body, not bad. What else? The other old men nodded and smiled in satisfaction. The thing that the Qing family brought out is quite special. It is a kind of crazy magic pill that is enough to raise the powerhouse below the 3-star Dozian by a whole rank in a short period of time. Li Qin continued. Crazy magic pill? I didn't expect this kind of medicine to actually exist. This kind of medicinal pill was attributed to the forbidden pill in the past, because its effect is too great, and after the strength is improved, it will not leave too many sequelae. If the City Lord gets it, I'm afraid there will be an extra life-saving talisman in his hand. The white-haired old man Zaidu said. And that you family, the things they brought out were a little special. The next moment, Li Qin hesitated. How is it special? Su Feng asked Li Qin so hesitantly. The thing that the Yu family brought out is called a scroll of Fengling Xixiangju, and it is a scroll of fighting skills at the intermediate level of the Holy Order. Although the rank is only the middle rank of the Holy Rank, it can be given to 4 people to practice together, and after training, the 4 of them will work together. Even if they are hungry and strong at the same rank, they can only retreat. Its power is temporarily mobilized into his body, and its power is probably rare. Li Qin said. Joint fighting skills? Bai He couldn't help but say, obviously this is the first time I've heard of this kind of thing. Although this thing is good, it is not very useful for our City Lord's mansion, so my opinion is to choose between the first 2. The white-haired old man said. Hey, old man Bai, don't worry, I have some interesting things here. Bai He smiled. What? After Bai He said this, everyone's eyes were cast towards Bai He, because they all knew that Bai He was in charge of a young Emperor rank 3rd grade pharmacist. He first took out an immortal rank 4th grade heaven rank peak prototype elixir. Bai He said. The prototype pill of the 4th grade heaven level peak of the immortal rank? Bai He just finished speaking, and suddenly several old men couldn't help exclaiming. There is no doubt that the most scarce in the ghost world is the pill, which is why the alchemist the reason why he has such a high status in the ghost world. Otherwise, the reason why the 2-star Dozyan powerhouses like Deathwind would respect some alchemists who are still at the level of Do Emperor. But I rejected it. Baihe Zaidu said. It's okay to refuse. Although the prototype elixir of immortal rank 4th rank heaven rank peak is very valuable, but there are too few pharmacists in our Yinhan Tiandong continent, and I am afraid that even if we get it, we will not be able to successfully refine it into elixir. Deadwind shook his head and said. But the next moment, he brought out something that opened my eyes again. The next moment, Baihe frowned. Obviously, every time he thought of the blue flame in Xiao Yang's hand, the aura in his body jumped unstoppably. What? All the strong people present asked in unison. Zihua of Ghost Face Soul Yang. Baihe said lightly, but as soon as he finished speaking, the entire private room caused a burst of sigh. What? Zihua of Ghost Face and Soul Flame? And as Baihe's voice just fell, an unbelievable voice suddenly sounded slowly. Is the fire of the Ghost Face and Soul? Could it be that the sense is wrong? Ghost Face Soul Flame is no longer in our ghost world. How could he get it occasionally? Deadwind shook his head and said. It shouldn't be wrong, I have felt it carefully. Baihe heard the words and said, but Baihe was a little strange, because even after hearing the ghost face and soul inflammation, the Deadwind's face was still calm, not too surprised, and his face there is clearly something tangled up above. City Lord, could it be that the guy in the private room took out something rarer than Xiao Yang's ghost face and soul flame? The next moment, a bold guess sounded in the private room. Really? It can be preliminarily determined that the mysterious person in private room number 1 is not from our Yinhunshan Sizhou. I think he should come from other places. Deadwind said. Would you like to keep him? Baihe said coldly, his voice full of killing intent. In the ghost realm, there are many factions of breath, but there is no doubt that Yinhunshan is definitely a peaceful place in Lihuan realm, while other places are too turbulent. Being not. After all, this is an auction, and the visitors are the guests. Deadwind shook his head and said, City Lord, what chips did he come up with? Bai Laro said. An immortal fighting pill. After a while, Deadwind finished speaking, but his brows slowly smiled, and a rare smile slowly lingered in the corners of his eyes. How could it be, a fighting immortal pill? As the voice of Deathwind fell, the entire private room became quiet, because they knew that even Saint Yanzihuo was not as attractive as the Do immortal pill. Zihua is not a holy flame, and it cannot make Deathwind's strength soar. Among Do immortals, the gap between each rank is huge, so it is impossible to raise a whole big rank like Do Di Dan. The fighting immortal pill, impressively can make the powerhouse below the 4-star fighting immortal level rise by a small level, and it is also in the ranks of the immortal rank 5 rank earth level medicinal pill. For example, if you have reached the 3-star Dozyan consummation, after taking it, you will naturally break through to the 3-star Dozyan and enter the 4-star Dozyan. If that Xiao Yang can come up with a more satisfactory bargaining chip, it will naturally be exchanged for him, but compared to the Dozyan Dan, the Zihua of Ghost Face Soul Yang is still not worth mentioning. Deadwind said, with a hint of regret, obviously he is also quite greedy for Zihua of Ghost Face Soul Yang. If that's the case, I'm afraid there will already be a winner in this auction. At the next moment, Li Qin's beautiful eyes turned slightly, and she went back to the auction stage to preside over the overall situation. Let's go, it's time to complete the transaction. After Deathwind finished speaking, he and Baihe left here directly. Everyone, be quiet. Li Qin's eye returned to the auction stage, and suddenly looked at the noisy voices from all directions, and said slowly. Since Butler Li has come out, this finale should also belong to him. As Li Qin just appeared, some discerning people couldn't help but say, obviously they all wanted to know who actually bid for this undead leaf. Although this is an auction, we can't come here clearly, but as long as we know the winner of the undead leaves, they have their own methods. Among these people, only the Qing Lei Yu family was quite nervous. After all, although the chips they took out were worth a lot of money, they always felt that they were not very stable. It seemed that the preparations for this auction of the immortal leaves were still insufficient. Everyone, in order to protect the privacy of others, our City Lord's mansion will naturally not disclose the winner of the undead leaves. However, the undead leaves have been successfully auctioned, and this auction has also ended successfully. If you are interested, you can stay. Our City Lord's mansion will hold a banquet in the past few days. Li Qin smiled sweetly. If that's the case, then we won't stop. Farewell. Some intermittent voices sounded. The auction is over. Xiao Yang shook his head when he heard the words in private room number 3. It's over, It seems that the auction of the immortal leaves has not fallen into our hands. Qingming smiled helplessly. Although he had expected it, but now that he really heard Li Qin's announcement, he couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. Respected pharmacist, please move to the back room. The fairy elixir and earth dragon blood crystal you photographed will be delivered to you later. The next moment, a girl wearing a professional attire came gently. In the private room number 3, he suddenly smiled slowly to the Qing family, and then said respectfully to Xiao Yang, Patriarch Qingming, I still have some personal matters. I won't go back to the Qing family with you this time. If the Qing family has any needs, just ask. Xiao Yang smiled, and after he finished speaking, he followed the girl away. Let's go too, the nearest ghost city should not be peaceful. Sammy smiled and said immediately, Qinga, let's go. How can a golden scale be a thing in the pool? Seeing Qinga's nostalgic figure of Xiao Yang leaving, Qingming couldn't help but say, I know. Let's go. And Qinga glanced at Xiao Yang's leaving figure with a little nostalgia, and she suddenly felt relieved at the next moment, and smiled directly. Father, that undead leaf. As only the 3 members of the Qing family were left in the entire private room, Qingwen couldn't help but say, this guy Xiao Yang probably has the same goal as us, but there are not a few forces with the same goal as us in the Ghost King City. If you can help, then help him. This immortal leaf is of great importance. As long as it doesn't fall into the Yu family's Lei family, then we can't control it. Sammy said a lesson. After the 3 of them finished speaking, they also went back to Qing's house. After all, with the end of the auction of the undead leaves, open and secret battles will also collide more and more. Hey, Master Alchemist, I really admired it for a long time. The girl just led Xiao Yang to the back hall, and suddenly a hearty laughter slowly entered Xiao Yang's ears. What kind of wind blows the city lord of dead wind? Xiao Yang smiled and walked up, but his eyes noticed that there were Li Qin and Bai He not far away. Sir Xiao Yang is really joking. I originally planned to receive you in person, but the status of the guest in the private room is a bit special. I hope Sir Xiao Yang can ignore the previous suspicion. Death Feng accompanied him with a smile. With the means of death and the relationship with the Qing family, it is natural to know that the 3rd-grade Emperor rank pharmacist in the 3rd private room just now is Xiao Yang. It's okay. Xiao Yang said. Xiao Yang naturally knew that, as the city lord of the dead wind, coupled with the strength of his 2-star Dozyan perfection, he would treat him like this. He didn't have to think about it. Stopping him, on the other hand, maybe he had some thoughts on Xiao Yang's ghost face, Yang Zihua, but he was afraid of the hidden strength behind Xiao Yang, so he acted like this. Sir Xiao Yang, the fairy pills and the blood crystals of the earth dragon you auctioned are all stored in this collection ring. Please take a look. After a while, Li Qin walked up directly, with a beautiful collection ring in his hand facing it. Xiao Yang said, yes. Seeing this, Xiao Yang didn't hesitate, took Na Jie directly, and checked it under the eyes of the 3 of them. After a few minutes, among the 3 confirmations, it was indeed the immortal spirit pill and the earth dragon blood crystal. Xiao Yang immediately put it away, and then said with a smile, since the auction has ended, I won't stay any longer. Everyone, farewell. After Xiao Yang finished speaking, he raised his legs and walked outside. Lord Xiao Yang, wait a minute. Just when Xiao Yang was about to leave, Su Feng smiled slightly, his eyes filled with hesitation. What else is there for the city lord of dead wind? Xiao Yang said with a smile. The characters accompanied by the dragon blood crystal at the auction site are already on their way. They should come to the Ghost King City in less than a month. At that time, Sir Xiao Yang will be able to go to the Ghost Heaven continent under their protection. Said the dead wind. Don't worry, the dead city lord, I will stay in the Ghost King City for this month, and I just need to inform me when the time comes. Xiao Yang said with a smile, and he was about to leave after saying that, but the corner of his mouth was a smile appeared. Slightly a little. Hold on, I have one more thing to do. At the next moment, there was an ugly look on the old face of the dead wind. What else does the deceased city lord have to do? Xiao Yang frowned and said it's a shame to say, but the deceased is still unwilling. I don't know if the ghost-faced soul-flaming fire in Brother Xiao Yang's hands can be exchanged for me, Dead Wind said, looking forward to Xiao Yang's reaction. Hehe, Lord of the Dead City, I got this ghost face and soul flame by accident. If it wasn't for the strong family at the time, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to get it by myself. Furthermore, that ghost face soul Yang Zihua can't compare to the price of the mysterious person in the private room number 1, so I will disappoint the Dead City Master. Xiao Yang said with a hint of apology, obviously guessing the dead wind long ago. The purpose. Oh, there's no way. That guy took out a dozyan pill, and I was stuck in the 2-star dozyan, and I was greedy for a while. Xiefeng also shook his head when he heard the words. Obviously, he also knew that, except for treasures of the level of Undead Leaf, to exchange other things with Xiao Yang for the Zihua of Ghostface and Soulflame would be like a fool's dream. If it is exchanged, it is not impossible. Xiao Yang said. Is this true? Hearing the words, Xiefeng was overjoyed. Sir Xiao Yang needs anything, just say it. Dead Wind laughed loudly. I need all the information about the Hammer mercenary group, as well as all the whereabouts of the mysterious person who photographed the undead Yi. Xiao Yang said. Okay, it's up to you. Yi Feng heard the words, but he gritted his teeth and said directly. It's a pleasure to cooperate. Xiao Yang said with a smile. This video will end here.